Part 2 of 2, Angel's Return and Final Message. He thinks about all that has changed since he woke up from that dream. He awoke a different person. That dream has never left him, and now he changed the entire world because of it. He woke up from a dream, filled with inspiration and confidence to pursue his real-life dreams. After becoming fascinated with dreams, he's done his research and begins to think deeply to himself. The dream world gives you dreams which get you thinking and in turn affect your waking life, possibly giving you the motivation you need to guide it in another direction entirely, like it did with me. He says, talking to himself in a whisper. A habit he developed while thinking deeply. He takes a seat in his office late one evening with a lot on his mind. He stares himself in the mirror and begins to think, talk to himself. The way you live, what you want, and the direction you're heading in turn manifests certain dreams. Like a circle continuing to give you guidance when needed. A lot of times helping to direct you towards the path you want. He thinks to himself about other people. My dad had a dream he was flying planes and then he became a pilot. If he never went that route because of that dream, and lived the life he lived, I wouldn't be here in this exact place, with the memories and childhood I had. Which led me to become the person I am. Do our dreams shape our real world as a whole? Thinking back on his journey to make it to presidency, it seemed almost spelled out for him, like he was almost meant for it. Now, since he has successfully made such a huge changes, it all seems like part of a higher plan. Could that simple dream have happened for a real-life reason? Like the butterfly effect. Somehow it started him down a path which landed him exactly where he needed to be. Real life now feels like a dream to him, a dream come true. He has to step outside and take a deep breath. He starts to think of things a little differently. Like the oracle, his dream gave him exactly what he needed to make it here to where he's at, which in turn affected the whole planet. Was his dream girl Angel an oracle? Scott often wondered what she would say if she ever opened those pretty lips beyond a smile. All his friends around him led certain lives and it all ended up falling into place like a puzzle. He finally found his spot in the world, and so did everyone else. Almost at the exact same time. Scott goes to lay down because he feels overwhelmed with the rush of thoughts he's experiencing, thinking about the big picture. It's getting dark outside, the sun's going down and the couch looks perfect for a nap. He wakes up suddenly engulfed completely in bright light. Once again he feels the warm hands of his dream girl Angela holding his hands. Knowing instantly where he's at. It's as if he never left the blinding white light of the first dream. In the same exact place, flying up and up while spinning in circles, grasping each other's hands. Scott truly feels like he's flying. He even feels the wind brushing past his face. He also feels wide awake. In the heart of the blinding light at the very peak. Suddenly, to his surprise, she begins to speak to him. They slow down and come to a still. They are blinded by light, unable to see each other. Scott feels like he's face to face with the sun, only somehow his eyes don't hurt. Dream eyes. Scott. He hears the faint whisper of a very sweet sounding voice which can only be described as the voice of a true angel. Hey? He replies softly with an echo. Excited that she's speaking to him. His heart begins to race. There's a short pause. I think it's time you know the truth, she says, echoing back. Scott swallows, not sure what to expect. She continues to speak, only this time he can hear her voice very clearly. With no echoes at all, and it sounds like it's coming from inside his very own mind. Scott, this is your dream. She says very calmly and soft. Yeah, I know I am dreaming right now, he replies, still having an echo. That's not what I mean, she says, quietly exhaling. When you wake up, this is your dream, she replies firmly. Scott pauses, confused. What do you mean? There's another longer pause. She inhales slowly before speaking. I want you to relax and just listen with an open mind, she says, squeezing his hands and rubbing his fingers. As she does, Scott is rushed with a cool breeze which feels incredible. Scott takes a very deep breath, clearing his mind completely, and exhaling. She continues to speak ever so softly. I mean, you're the dreamer of this overall dream, the world and the universe. There's a pause. This dream world? He asks, confused. Yes. The dream world and the real world, one and the same. Scott swallows, not sure what to think or say, so he just listens quietly, trying to comprehend that concept. She continues to speak. When you woke up from your dream, you woke up spiritually as well. Your mind shifted to a higher plane of thought and away from your old negative cycle. More doors started to open for you, allowing you to think clearer and rise up in life more gracefully. You stopped fighting with yourself and things you couldn't control. You found strength to focus on what you could control and to press forward. That dream gave you motivation and showed you how lucky you are to be alive. To have experienced or even dreamed up such incredible things. The fact that you're experiencing anything alone is incredible, and you have realized this. Becoming fully conscious of your existence. As a child, you would laugh to yourself in the mirror, feeling your face while wondering who you are. Since the moment you could think, you were in wonder. Yes. I have been with you for quite some time, Scott. She says, slightly giggling. Scott knows she can't see him, but if he was awake his face would be getting a little flustered. The palms of his hands begin to sweat. What is all this? Is the question you would ask. Why are we all here? But the most important and specific question you would ask yourself is, who am I? Why am I me? Why am I not someone else? You were very self-aware since the moment you started thinking, which got you searching for answers and daydreaming. She continues to speak after taking a deep breath and exhaling. When you got broken up with and the opportunity was available to start fresh or all over again, your subconscious figured this would be a perfect time to awaken you and get you going on your true path. Initially taking place in the form of the dream you had. I just happened to be there in the right place and time, but I know by now there is no such thing as accidents. Knowing who you are, I did what I thought I had to do. I knew I couldn't speak to you and spell it right out. Or just reach in and affect your karma and learning process. You had to create your own thoughts and guide your own journey. Which in turn helped guide many others who were lost in the dark looking for hope. Scott leans back, still holding her hands, trying to absorb what he just heard. As he does, he realizes he has wings. He actually has feeling in them with the ability to move them. What a strange feeling. He thinks to himself, as he moves them gracefully up and down. He takes a deep breath himself, leaning back into the picture. How did you happen to be there? I thought I dreamed you. I named you Angel, the dream girl, and had a secret romance with you in my head my entire life. I led my life a completely new direction just by thinking about you. From that one encounter. She pauses. Well, I'm actually your guardian angel. Yes, ironically, my name is in fact, Angel. She replies, letting out cute giggles as well. Sometimes that is all it takes. One encounter. Even simply hearing about something can take you in another direction or form a full image in your head. Consciousness is very remarkable, Scott. I don't think you're aware of just how a lot of what you personally imagine turns out to be true. Wait, so what do you mean this is my dream? He asks again, very interested in the answer. Trying to see her but still can't. It's so blinding, the light mine as well be coming out of his eyes. She continues to speak. She squeezes his fingers and exhales. You and everyone are one and the same, she responds. You might find this hard to believe, Scott, but believe it or not, you created everything. Like I said, you are the dreamer. Not just the dreamer. The center dreamer. the host of the dream. The one. Just as she said this, a rush of warm air begins to blow and they slowly begin to rise with the current. Before you wake up, you will have an explosion of thought which will create the entire universe. This explosion of thought will be when you dream up everything all at one time. This is the Big Bang. Thought creates matter, and your thoughts really do matter. You are an equal part of everyone and everything all in one. Which makes you the one. The collective center of this collectively designed dream, which makes you the designer. Have you ever heard the phrase "we are all one"? Well, that means one consciousness with a center point. You just so happen to be that center point. There has to be a center point in order for it to come full circle. A single platform in which to form the entire puzzle inside. Just as much this is your dream, however, everyone else is equally the dreamer. The reason you were the one chosen to be the centerpiece of the puzzle and put it all together is, well, you were born for it. You were born with the correct line of right and wrong built within you. You are loving, forgiving, honest, genuine and strong mentally. You were born and positioned on planet Earth to live a walk of life which would give you all the pieces of the puzzle you needed in order to form reality inside your consciousness. You set out to change the world because deep inside you feel like you have no choice. You never lead with ego. You are very compassionate with a lot of willpower. You are a very open-minded dreamer with no limits in your mind. All these characteristics are built inside of you. It's just who you are. You are, however, just as equal a piece of the puzzle as well, being formed and shaped by the master consciousness, which is the entire equal universe. It's all a puzzle and a circle. We are each a moving piece. Our individual consciousnesses together forms a grid, creating one interconnected consciousness. We first have to form ourselves individually into shape, which then will form the whole as a planet into shape, which then will form the universe into shape and back into complete harmony. It's all being put together at the exact same time by the master consciousness, which is all of us and everything, or God. Planet Earth is the last piece of the puzzle in the universe. You, Scott, are the last piece of the puzzle on Earth. The absolute last piece of the puzzle, which makes you a very important piece. It all comes down to you, the last one. How am I the last one? He asks. Because it's all riding on you, Scott. The center point consciousness of this planet and universe holding up the rear. Once you reach happiness, that means the universe has. Scott pauses, trying to comprehend what he just heard. Breathing heavily, feeling lightheaded. He snaps back when she gives his hands a firm squeeze. Scott. She says quickly, this time aloud with an echo. I need you to focus and to be able to handle this information. Remember, part of moving forward is learning. Since you're the centerpiece, you need to be able to handle this and know all of this so you can create it as such and lead the world into the next phase of your evolutionary climb simply by dreaming it. All Earth needs is missing information so it can find and center itself. Scott takes a quick breath and focuses in. Still holding her hands. How could I be this centerpiece? I have never felt like anything special in my life. How could this possible? And how do I know this is even real? This is what the universe itself has been forming since the beginning. Everything coming together to form one centerpiece creation platform. You. The one is a centering concept of creation to help the universe find and center itself. Once it does, reality will begin the way it is supposed to. You were born simply wanting to be happy. You had a harder life at times and experienced hardships firsthand. You realized you were intelligent and wanted to use that gift to help others, not to become better than others. You saw the game and played the field as best as you could, and it all lined up as meant to be. You have a deep love for people, even strangers you don't know. You see the big picture and realize everyone is just trying to find their place in life and survive. Because of this, you have great compassion for all living things and are very forgiving. You pay attention to things others don't. You care when others don't. Even when someone is angry at you personally, it saddens you to see them so upset. All these qualities is what led you to pursue the path you did. When you meditate, smoke marijuana, and especially when you dream, you can access or experience higher dimensions of thought process. Higher levels of creative thought with an open, non-judgmental mind is what has allowed you to put so many pieces together and guide your life with care and a well-thought plan. To slow down and enjoy life more without putting added and unnecessary stresses on yourself. This has allowed you to think calmer and rise up more naturally in life with less of a struggle. Running for president, you know deep down every single day there is a lot riding on you to win. In fact, the whole world is. Knowing that if you lost, the world might slip downhill into that gray area. But you never let the pressure weigh you down from running. You sucked up your worries and lead with a smile all the way to election. You continue to do so after showing the world a new type of leader with new ideas and the confidence to stand behind them. Before running for office, when you smoked, your mind would operate in higher planes of consciousness and your thoughts would expand greatly. You would have mental breakthroughs. You became relaxed in life, at the same time focused. Suddenly able to ponder and think calmly. You were able to let yourself have a good time. Even see the big picture, not caring about little things that don't matter or getting worked up about issues. All you cared about was love and accepting those around you for who they are. You still are like that through meditation. For the most part, it's just who you are. It's the mindset that really matters. Not closed off and very open and accepting. At the same time true to you. This has allowed you to step back and see how we move as one giant puzzle towards the same direction. You are able to see the universe's plan unfolding and know the direction it's heading. Since you made it nationally legalized, the next phase of consciousness is around the corner. It will happen naturally anyways. This is just a helpful nudge to get society out of its cage. You did a great job stressing limitations and easing it into society. You didn't want to drug up the planet, you wanted to bring their freedom back. Put an end to a long dragged out petty issue causing problems in millions of Americans' lives. Both police and civilians. It's about freedom. The real way is to rise and ascend are two things, knowledge and love. The reality you live in is based off your understanding of it. Your understanding is based off the Earth's collective understanding. You simply as a whole need a proper understanding of reality, which will bring about a new phase, ending old conflicts and the lost quest for answers about your own existence. You are living in a dream world with limitless possibilities. The world just needs to be made aware of this. It's right around the corner in your evolutionary climb. All your planet needs to do is put the pieces together. Connect the dots and climb the ladder on their own free will. Nothing is gonna make them do it except for themselves. This is where you come in. To be the ladder. Simply to get the ball rolling towards the future. The puzzle is based around you, Scott. Not just to pull together the pieces and dream up reality. But to pull together a message. All arrows point to you, it's time you point them back and finish this thing. You were placed to bring together a message from the world and flip it back to the world. Bring to light the obvious. A message from the world to the world. You were thrown in the middle of all worlds. To bring all worlds together. To break down walls and bring the world together as one. The one. That's why you're here, Scott. To bring the world together. Connections prove we are connected. To each other, to the universe, to you. As you begin your learning journey, you will only rise higher and higher the more you figure out. Love is also the key and equally just as important, if not more. Sure, learn the information of the universe. Do as you want with it, even forget about it. But never forget about love. Never forget to pause and look at what's right in front of you. Shine the light inwards and heal yourself. As you feel better internally and take control of yourself, you take control of the dream. Especially as you stop searching for answers and find yourself instead. Expand your horizons and follow your dreams. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. She says, giggling. Love and happiness is the strongest energy in the universe. Planet Earth needs to be replenished with knowledge and love, which will bringing you up to new worlds where all kinds of exciting possibilities will start to open up for you. You simply have to earn your way there, and you did. You have learned this much. The reality you live in matches the population's collective's internal understanding of it, just as much as how they feel about it and the level of vibration or happiness. It's an exact reflection of the population's collective subconscious and emotions. So when we have a better understanding and feel better about life and ourselves, the reality we will collectively project will match equally and be calmer. Old issues will be a thing of the past, and you won't live such a mad rush through life. Your internal clocks will slow and you can relax a little, living a lot longer as well. Remember, all that needs to change on Earth is your understanding of reality. Everything else will follow suit naturally. The simple ideas are the best. As the population feels better and becomes happy with each other and life in general, the planet will begin to vibrate higher. You will think in higher planes of thought, being able to understand things on a whole new level impossible to comprehend at this time. You don't know something until you learn it. If it doesn't make sense right now, Scott, remember, everything makes sense looking back on it. Once in the new world with a new global understanding of life, it will all clearly make sense. You are here to bring it back. You have been living in the dark for so long you have forgotten yourselves and your true connection. Like a piece has been missing from your collective brain that needs to be restored to bring the whole thing back to balance. You need to stop being lost and find yourselves so you can stop wondering and fighting with yourselves. Since you're the collective center, you will always feel internally the way the population as a whole feels. When you reach inner peace, that means the world has reached peace. You can't have one without the other. That's why you feel like you were born on a natural quest to save the world, and will continue to feel this way until you have done just that. Just like Superman, who felt it was his responsibility. You do have superpowers, Scott. Just in a different way. You are incredibly smart, and like Lex Luthor, only good. You are the good Lex Luthor of Supermans. It doesn't take a man with superpowers to change the world. It takes a young man with a big heart and a lot of courage. She pauses. Scott feels dream tears forming in both his eyes. His heart feels warm and heavy, even though he feels light as a cloud. It starts to rain gently. The world will be at peace, Scott, and you will reach inner peace, and it is largely because of you. She says, squeezing his hands again gently. Your path and the path of the universe are tied so closely that when you reach absolute true inner peace and feel as if you have completed your mission, the world will reach inner peace and complete its mission at the exact same time. What's the mission? To find peace, happiness, and stability. A place in this universe to feel whole and content. That's why you're blessed with this information as to be the guide. Remember that feather you found? Ever since that dream, you looked for real world signs and signal telling you which moves to make in life. You looked out into the world for answers. You saw signs, you put them together, built up an image in your head of what you had to do. You had a choice whether to act or not. Whether to step up to the plate or not, and every single time you did as if you knew you had to. You still are to this day. Even if it means putting yourself out there and standing behind your controversial statements. You suck it up, feeling as if you have to, knowing deep down inside it's much bigger than you and that it will all fall into place at the end. You have no fears. The one thing that does scare you is letting people down. Large scale or small. Always putting the greater good first, leading with the best of intentions. That's why you were chosen as the one. You chose yourself. I am not telling you anything you haven't already learned because I cannot reach in and affect the karma of your dimension. By the way, to me we are still in the first dream. She says, giggling. What makes you the one, is you are the one in the position to turn everything around and change the world. The one placed in a position to gain the knowledge and get the ball rolling. Also the one with the weight of the world on his shoulders, like Atlas. How many of your movies are there with talk about the one? In every hero movie he is always the center of where the trouble would circulate, and when he solves his problems the trouble stops. That's because the story is based around the main character. Without him there would be no story. In this movie the story is creation itself. In every hero movie the hero starts at the bottom, goes through a phase of self-discovery, goes through a phase of heartbreak, defeats the evil, takes control of the castle, and everyone lives happily ever after. In real life it's no different. We are all characters and you just happen to be the main character who represents all of us. Your battle is our battle equally. We are on the verge of taking control of the castle. You already have slayed the dragon. The future you dream up and create is one everyone dreams up and creates equally. You're already living the dream. Life's about the journey, not the destination. Once you deliver this message and bring peace to the planet, the energy from our planet will then radiate outwards like sun rays into the universe, and peace will exist throughout the universe forever. Scott almost forgot where he was, completely zoned out and in awe over her words. Is this for real? He asks. Well, look around you, Scott. If you try you can see it all taking shape right in front of your eyes, getting closer to the same conclusion. It's curtain close time. All you have to do is step out of your mental barriers. That alone is a step in ascension. Being able to look at things with no prior convictions. It's about rising above your problems. It's not reality that needs to change, it's you. Reality will follow suit naturally, but it starts inside of you. You are the point to life. To grow and become shaped into the beings you want to be. To learn and to grow. To rise to a conscious level of complete humbleness. Where you can figure out your own reality and go through your own journey and transformation. After which will leave you in peace and harmony. Never to be lost again. Like I said, Scott. It's not reality that needs to change, it's your understanding of it and your mindset. The way you perceive it. Look at the world like anything is possible because it truly is. Life is all about phases. Some people call this the third dimension, I call this the third phase. Believe it or not, when you got broken up with the planet itself entered into a new phase. What? He says quickly. Yes, what don't you understand about being the collective center? You got broken up with ironically on New Year's Eve. Wow. She says, giggling. Thanks. He responds with a slight chuckle, realizing that does sound funny. That's when your girlfriend decided officially she doesn't want to see you anymore. This began the new phase in time on planet Earth. The rehealing phase and the rebuilding phase. No longer getting hurt in an equally abusive relationship, both free to rebuild and find yourselves and reheal. When you first decided to take control of yourselves and start a new personal phase in time and reach for the light or the good in life. Same with the planet. This was right after your country went through a horrible election year. Which brought the whole planet down to all-time lows of energy. So afterwards it was able to begin its rehealing phase. This is what I mean, Scott. You and the planet's problems match up very similar. When we make it to the next phase in time, looking back it will be like this whole phase right now never happened. Meaning everything you have experienced since the beginning was the dream. It will feel like one. More like a nightmare sometimes. Scott says. This is creation. Just like you, Scott, you started at the bottom. So did the planet, you rose to the top and the planet equally matched you. Since you learned the truth and are set on heading in the direction of peace and love, the rest of the world will follow in the same direction. The planet was operating as one self-discovering being. spreading in all directions to figure its out own existence. By doing so, it painted a picture of what reality is. All you have to do is connect the dots from all worlds, bringing them together as one. You, Scott, being the direct center or the one, have been placed in a position to be able to do that. With the ability to bring all worlds together and bring about the new world. As you become mature and set, so does reality. Knowledge is power, and you have the power to paint a picture and guide the planet into the future it has been setting up for itself the whole time. All you have to do is get the ball rolling. This is why it always appears that when you have problems, the world has problems. When you are happy, the world is happy. When you reach inner peace, so does the world. You are an absolute reflection of this reality and positioned perfectly to be so. We are all equally a part of this interconnected being. If we knock down all mental barriers and look for magic and mystery in everything, treat every soul with a conscience, including animals, with respect and love, your reality will soar. Love is the key, it always has been. Scott takes a deep breath and realizes the bright light is beginning to fade and points of light are poking through. Soon he realizes he's not in a huge underground cavern, but he's in deep space. Forgetting that he was rising the whole time. He can see very well. They appear to be right in the middle of a mix of constellations and galaxies. Scott feels very free and happy. They release both hands and fly together side by side, holding hands. It's pure silence. Even the sound of silence doesn't exist. Scott is in awe. There is planets, suns, stars and galaxies all around. One cluster of stars seems to form a dragon. Another seems to form a giant bird, and another forms a giant lion. You're Leo, right? Yeah. Scott replies. That one resembles the constellation Draco. She says, pointing to the one taking shape of a dragon. Planet Earth exists in this constellation, at the very tip of creation. That one resembles the phoenix rising from the ashes. Pointing to the giant bird looking as if it's trailing a stream of orange stardust. The phoenix resembles immortality and life restarting after the old ways get burnt down. I just have one question for you, he pauses. Since we are connected as one being moving in one direction, does that mean we ever had free will? Yes, you had free will the whole time. Free will to be you and think however you please. The environment you lived in, however, was restrictive and competitive, limiting your free will. You were also all born with certain wants and interests to naturally fill in your position of the puzzle based on your own free will. Just as you did. You were able to figure things out on your own, and it was then up to you what to do with it. Whenever you noticed your free will was restrictive, you were free to acknowledge it. You always had free will. You just had a lot of rules and limitations. Once that self-discovering being figures itself out, it no longer needs to continue this search or fight with each other over answers. We no longer have reason to build ourselves a puzzle to paint this picture and form this message picture, and we can fly into the new world. I can't wait to see your creations in the next world. For reality to exist, it has to make sense. Random chaos made sense, so that's what it was. Once this dream world is proven to make absolute sense and to be the bold truth, that's how reality exists, and that becomes your new reality. One with limitless potential. Since planet Earth affects the whole universe, it's not going to be easy. Fear is the hump we have to get over. As we gain understanding, we get over fear and gain trust. No one can force you to learn anything. It's up to you, Scott, to connect the dots on your own free will. You are here to feel alive and have experiences. Use willpower, take back your strength, and push forward to new tomorrows. Don't fall backwards to the old ways simply because it's what you know. The thought of a dream world can seem confusing. You may feel lost in the information or not feel as secure about your footing on reality. Once you find the footing of reality and know the truth and become secure with it, you will be the farthest from lost. Scott realizes the world around him is starting to change, like they are going into a small vortex. Suddenly they are back on top of the beautiful HD fluffy pink clouds with the purple sky. The moon has a beautiful silhouette on it of a girl simply standing there looking upon the earth calmly. The moon itself looks like it's floating on a cloud and the stars are twinkling brightly. When I showed you the two different worlds, you had a choice. Attempt to interpret that message and act on it, or do nothing and go left. You could have let the world crumble. With the common mindset of thinking you can't do anything about the planet personally. One of the reasons you figured this message out is you always believed in yourself and didn't have that common mindset. Realizing you personally can do things in this world just as much as anyone else. You're a smart person with ideas it would be a shame to waste. You figure you might be made on purpose with these ideas to help the world. You also have the strength to blaze a new trail and carry out your ideas. Caring for more than just yourself. Carrying more than just yourself. You chose to act and go all the way because you felt you had to. For a long time along the way you were so alone you felt like the man on the moon. Up there is a lost angel on the moon, she says, looking towards the moon. Looking down on her mate, you, the earth. Afraid to come down. She will once you find yourself, settle and relax. Until then she's frightened. You have to save her, Scott. Let the angel come home. She was so afraid of you she would rather be lost and alone on a rock. You have to bridge the gap. Connect both worlds. Bring the angels back. Everything connects, Scott, it's all sacred geometry down to the atom. Now Scott, you have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Now go get the ball rolling on the finale chapter and on the final road to peace. Real change begins with you. You have to reach absolute inner peace before you can help others. That's the real way to help the universe. Stop searching for answers and find yourself. After you get the earth spinning in the right direction and get the weight off your back, there is just one last and final piece of the puzzle. It's you. It's time to live your own life and focus on yourself and simply forget about the whole world. Focus on your world. Love yourself. It's the last piece of the puzzle. You deserve it. Finding your inner peace is the whole point. You are everyone. The one. I love you. Scott feels her hands fade away and everything starts to fade. He feels himself sucked into a vortex again. He sees the entire universe flash through his mind and all around him. So fast it's like an explosion. He sees galaxies, stars, shapes, what looks like bubbles all hurling past him. All of his memories coming together. Bright lights and colors, including colors he hasn't even seen before, colors which only exist in the dream world or other yet to be seen worlds. Planet Earth pops into focus, the thought of all the people. Everything you can imagine at the same time goes in and out his mind. Almost making his head feel as if it's about to explode. Feeling stretched to infinity, he wonders when it's going to stop. He thinks about the concept of infinity and infinite possibilities. He thinks about everything Angel just told him. He thinks about love and the circle of creation she mentioned. The puzzle. There is a sudden bright flash of light, even brighter than the light he previously experienced. This one was a very strange unknown color, even brighter than white. Like all colors in one, including white. He wakes up back in his bed, rubbing his eyes and gasping for breath. He looks outside at the world around. Being in the White House, after experiencing all the weird things he has. He is just happy to be awake and alive at this point. That dream and information was way too much for him to grasp in its entirety. He just wants to grasp reality at this point and plant his feet firmly on the ground. He then decides to do something a little different. He changes his mindset and goes from wanting to change the whole wide world to simply wanting to love his wife and live real life. Deciding to take Angel's advice. He's not sure what to think about everything she just told him, but considering where he's at and all the major coincidences he has experienced along the way, who really knows? He's never been one to turn away from an idea or theory, especially one which sounds so intriguing and exciting. He decides to write a simple article about it. He decides to sit back and see the puzzle come together on its own, getting out of the way to let it happen. He turns his complete attention to his wife. He looks up at her one morning and sees a bright shining aura, just as bright as his dream girl's aura was. He realized he's looking at a strong and beautiful person who has been with him through thick and thin. Incredibly strong and beautiful. She has put up with a lot in her life and has a lot of worries. But she keeps on smiling and working as a team together with Scott as they make their way through life. Like pilot co-pilot, sometimes they don't get along and it feels like yin and yang. Come to find out they have completely different interests, and on paper they come off as complete opposites. But Scott likes to keep things more exciting and they can't help but be drawn to each other. Scott thinks to himself, yin and yang. Male and female. Adam and Eve? Could there not be a collective male and collective female? Two consciousnesses tied together to form one. Would that make me Adam? Angel said I dreamed everything up, right? Everything is connected to me as sacred geometry down to the atom. He stops himself before getting carried away down a thought pattern. Looking towards his wife, watching her as she waters some plants, he falls in love all over again. He goes over and gives her the biggest kiss he possibly can. Picking her up in his arms, squeezing her tightly and smiling as they stare into each other's eyes. The universe looking into the eyes of the universe. I'm never gonna let you go, he says, still softly staring into her eyes, embracing her in his strong arms which just got done carrying the weight of the world. From that moment out, a mature and grounded Scott lived life to the fullest, loving his wife and life, realizing everything he has ever wanted and more is right here in front of his face. He no longer feels this huge quest for answers or feels lost in life. He feels truly content. He feels truly loved and blessed. He forgets about the dream and about trying to figure everything out. He takes the time to figure himself out. One day he looks up on the mantel and sees the little white feather in the picture frame on the summer-lit hay bales. Above the picture is a phrase which reads, "Head in the clouds, feet on the ground." Scott smiles and winks at the picture, thinking of Angel. After accomplishing his mission and feeling finally done, the positive vibes radiated out of him, and into everyone else alive, and the planet was hurled into the next phase of time of paradise and peace. From then on out it only rose higher and higher, leaving the past in the past where it belongs. Scott reached inner peace at the exact same time the planet did, and everyone lived happily ever after, sealing the story of planet Earth, the one. Now as Scott walks the halls of the malls, they are calm. And then he woke up and it was all a dream.